Practice what you preach, it's what most people teach, but the folks behind Lucasfilm might need a lesson or two. Kathleen Kennedy's team with Leslie Headland as the master, failing to pay the apprentices, the acolytes who try to, well, lead the acolyte away from disaster. It turns out the team has a gender pay gap disparity. Is it real? Is it not? Does it matter? Is it hypocrisy? Folks, will tell you the dirty details right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we hold people accountable and ourselves as well, trying our very best to hold the standard of truth high upon this channel. Folks, you hold us to that standard, and as we dive into today's content, consider clicking the like button, and here we go. It turns out that there may be an issue behind the scenes at Lucasfilm, the acolyte, according to Forbes, not paying women the same as men. Or perhaps it's that not as many women are working there behind the scenes on the acolyte in comparison to men. Surely this must be some sort of false story, some fake news perhaps. But no, it's coming from Forbes, from Caroline Reed, who we believe. Folks, let's dive into the hypocrisy of Lucasfilm right now. That is that Disney is really exposed today, not just by James O'Keefe, but also by this report by Caroline Reed out of Forbes. And it's a real case of Disney not practicing what they preach. At least Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and Leslie Headland not practicing what they preach. Turns out, according to Caroline Reed, that Disney is paying unequally to the acolyte crew. Shock, oh shock. Here's what it says. Documents filed by Disney have revealed that its latest Star Wars spin-off series, The Acolyte, isn't actually a force for equality, despite famously featuring a female-centric cast. According to the filings in early April last year, when production of the streaming series was still in full swing, just 30% of the 695 employees were female, and across the entire workforce, women's average hourly pay was 19.4% lower than men's. Now, folks, I'm not here to tell you that women unfairly make less than men, and I don't think that Caroline Reed is saying that. Maybe she is, I don't know, but I am here to say that when it comes to the acolyte, things are not all right with Disney in terms of attempting to hold to what their standards are supposed to be. It turns out that when you look behind the mousy curtains, which is what happens when they make stuff in the UK, we get documents in the United Kingdom that you would never, ever receive in the United States. And when we look behind there, it turns out that their virtue signaling continues to be vapid. There's nothing actually there. They do what everyone else does. They just pretend not to. John, do you have any thoughts on this one in regards to Disney and not holding up to what they say they do?
So I don't know. I mean, obviously they do a lot of this stuff. We just had the James O'Keefe report where they're clearly discriminating on a lot of this stuff. As far as any kind of like unequal pay, I don't think this report really kind of gives us any kind of information about it. It's just talking about in broad generalities, and it doesn't really like go into like what the actual jobs were, what was the actual pay discrepancy. It doesn't really go into any of that stuff. So I don't really think
you and I agree, John. So let me push back a little bit, okay? So you and I agree on that. I think Caroline might agree with us on that. I think the point of this is that usually what these people like to do, like at Disney, is they like to obfuscate and they like to pretend like they're doing these things that are virtuous when in fact you look behind and there's not much virtue there. They like to pretend that there are problems that don't exist. And so I personally don't have any problem in the world with some professions having more men than women, just like I don't have any problem in the world with more women as a percentage of the workforce in other areas. I'll give you an example. Elementary school teachers. Let's use that one. There is a proclivity in the biological sexes, specifically in women, to have a more nurturing psychological profile than men. Now, that's not to say that every man is not nurturing. It's not to say that every woman is nurturing. It's to say that if you were to line up 100 women and 100 men, statistically, more of those women would be more nurturing than the same group of random men in the sample, okay? So I don't have any problem with more women, and this is true. More women tend to be elementary school teachers. I don't have any problem with more women tending to be nurses. I don't have any problem with more men going up on ladders to lay tiles and shingles on roofs. I don't have any problem with that, okay? Because I think let people be what they want to be. So I don't have any problem with Lucasfilm employing more men as long as it's naturally happening. I don't care if there are more men who just happen to be part of building sets. Doesn't matter to me. I just want people to be able to do what they want to do. I think what Caroline Reed is pointing out here is that they would say they want to go for this fully egalitarian kind of system where it's 50-50 or there are more women doing stuff than men because down with the patriarchy. And when you look behind the curtain, what do you actually see? There's nothing there. It's 19.4% lower in terms of women's average salary. 30% of the employees are female versus the rest that are men. I think it's pie in the face.
I think it's a bogus comparison all the way around, and I'll tell you why. What you just said about different people or genders having different proclivities or talents. If I have 6 people from a crew, and I'm going to run the stats, and 5 of them are grips, and grips make, I don't know, pick a number, $200 an hour. And the 6th one is the script supervisor, and she makes $500 an hour. So what? They're all getting whatever the minimums are or whatever. Now, if everybody, if you're a woman, I'm going to pay you on the sly an extra $5,000, that's a different story. But otherwise, to compare it over a whole crew of people in different jobs with different normal minimums and different normal conditions, and maybe, for example, if you want to take grips and electricians, whatever, you might have a second crew that comes in at nights to re-rig for the shooting crew in the daytime. They're not going to have as many hours as the shooting crew, so they're going to make less money. Is that prejudice, or is that just the way the work works? There are a lot of things to complain about equality and about wages and about prejudices. This isn't one of them. This just isn't one of them. On the other hand, you could say that the stories are related in the sense that, hey, the bad news is Disney is not hiring people fairly. The good news is if they were, you wouldn't get paid as much as you are now. I mean, this is people trying to, well, I mean, hey, Michael Giordano, yeah, I did it, and I'm proud of it because, see, it gave more people who would have been screwed by this prejudice system were opted out for themselves by us by not hiring them or considering them in the first place. What? Yeah.
How much worse could this show have been if they had tried to force the ratios that they're forcing in everything else? There's your question.
I think who says they aren't, right? Like this report
they might be
really
trying
do
to
that, right? Right, exactly. So like
what if they hire a crane operator who hasn't got the physical strength to do the job because they're a woman?
Women are just as strong as men, Lou. Women are just as strong as men.
Well,
big art.
See, and that's what the core of this is. It is that for the left, if I can use that term broadly, it's about equality of result, not of opportunity, which means everything gets dumbed down and people could get killed. If everybody has the same strength, but you don't, and you drop something on somebody, who are we going to blame? The system, the patriarchy, or the fact that somebody hired based on an abstract concept instead of who could actually do the job safely?
Based on when I've been on the job site, it's going to be the union.
And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another exploration of excellence, explaining entertainment and keeping you ahead of the culture curve. What a joy it is to share our time with you each and every day. We hope that you're going to have a wonderful Independence Day weekend if you are one of our American listeners out there. And if you are one of those other countries celebrating your Independence Days as well, we hope you have a great and safe summer time. Careful with the fireworks. We want you to have the same number of fingers and toes at the end of this week that you had when you started it. By the way, folks, for most of you, that will be 10 on the fingers and 10 on the toes. Not everyone, but in case you're wondering, that's the reference number. Folks, one reference we could use from you is, well, when you click the like button, when you share, when you subscribe, and when you click it and stick it to the algorithms, the notification bell, you tell YouTube that this is the place to be. Help us out if you would be so kind. And folks, if you want more Independence Day fun, go over to Vacation Radio, where 4th of July music is being played in the rotation. And folks, we say to you and the rest of the nation, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.